Hello, everyone. Real quick, please sign in while you can, while you're here, while I have your attention, so we can continue getting you all this food, all these shirts, all the good stuff. And well, I'll give everyone a quick second to take a picture of the code. And then after I say that, you guys can come grab pizza. We have 5 pepperoni. So if anyone doesn't want pepperoni, please come up first. Uh, if like if you don't want to eat meat for some reason, um, I'll just let you get first dibs. And now everyone else can come up. Uh, Hawaiian, pepperoni, cheese, take what you want. And then also we have shirts over here. We have small, medium, large, and extra large. If you filled out the form earlier, come queue up for a shirt. Otherwise, we'll announce if we have extras and we'll distribute them first come, first serve that way. All right. Now that everyone's settled down, everyone's gotten their pizza. Uh, I just wanted to go over a few quick things before we began our talk with our industry. Sorry, let me, I guess I'll mute them real quick. Yeah, I'll just want to point out a few quick things. Here's our agenda. First, obviously, step one, we've done. Grab pizzas and get your t-shirts. Have we gotten everyone that filled out the form? Did you guys grab a shirt? Actually, before. Also, SEC officers, make sure you get one. That includes me, which I will now walk over here and grab my shirt. Awesome. Yeah, make sure you guys grab yours now, because I will say that anyone who didn't fill out the form and still wants a shirt, you guys can get it now while I'm just talking. And then I'll discuss. Oh my God. All right, I'm gonna be real. I don't know if there's gonna be shirts of correct size for everyone, but we'll see. See what we can do. All right, I lied, guys. So okay, we're going to let's do this. So we're gonna take the ones that people registered for but didn't pick up. We'll put them away. If there's any left by the end of the meeting that haven't been registered for, you guys can come pick them up. And also, if those that were registered for aren't picked up by the end of the year, if you come to our last event, the bowling social, you guys can just grab the shirt from there. So speaking of, we have two more events left in the semester. Next week, we're going to have a UI design principles workshop. And that's actually going to be presented by our UI team for Clubfinity. So if you're interested in learning about that from people who have the experience, definitely come check it out. And then after that, the week after that, we'll be ending the year with a social. So we'll be announcing more details about that, later down the line. But hope to see you guys all there. And we'll probably also just, again, like I said, we'll be bringing the shirts. If you guys didn't get one now, if there's still some left at the end of the year, we'll be distributing them freely there. And then a quick reminder here, we have some opportunities in our Discord, which we'd like you guys to get involved in. Obviously, we have a resumes channel. If you don't already have, an internship and you're still searching for one, this is key time. So if you want to get your resume reviewed, throw it up in there. We're happy to help you guys out. And then maybe you've made a mobile app project over the last, semester. We have an app store publishing program, which we want to get off the ground. So if there's anyone who has an idea or has some sort of app that they'd like to get deployed to the App Store, but they aren't able to because of the high cost of it, reach out to us. We'll try and get it to happen for you guys. All right. And so with that being said, we'll introduce our speakers. So this is our speakers today are Shweta Kirkar and Anand Shuri. Shweta is a UX director and has worked previously at companies like Citi, PayPal, and Merrill Lynch. And Anand is the product owner. So currently, they both work at DTCC, which is the Depository Trust and Clearing Corporation, or Clearing Corporation, sorry, which is a financial firm out of New York. So they actually wanted to present on some UI principles, and then we'll get into a Q&A after that. So can you guys, I think I muted you guys before, but can you guys hear us?
Yes,
Yeah.
we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Yes. Yes.
Awesome.
Is our audio okay?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
All right.
Okay.
So do you guys want to start, or I guess introduce yourselves and then discuss whatever you'd like before we get into the Q&A?
Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, thanks Colin and Max for inviting us here. It's excited. We are excited to be here, absolutely, and happy to answer any questions you guys may have either now or we'll share our details. So anyone is interested to connect later, absolutely they can do that. Maybe you could share.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thanks for the opportunity, guys. I'm gonna be sharing in a quick sec. You cannot. Okay. Are you sharing something, Max?
You just stop the share so you guys have a chance to.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. Full screen.
Yeah. It's loading,
Yeah.
I think. Okay.
All right. So basically, we just wanted to make it a little bit exciting and realistic for you guys. So we have a quick presentation to go over just to help you understand the importance of UI UX design in this field. We'll quickly go over our own introductions and then dive into the couple of interesting slides. Hopefully, you guys will like it. So yeah, next.
There's a little lag, but yeah.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, as you know, I'm Shweta Khedkar. I lead the User Experience Center of Excellence here at DTCC. Before this, as Max mentioned, I've been working. I worked in Citi, Merrill Lynch, PayPal, etc. And prior to that, in India, which is my home country. Here at DTCC, basically, I'm responsible to lead a strategy and execution of our modernization, UI modernization. We have more than 200 applications which we are embarking on a modernization of UI, and we are actually working on something like some fun stuff like components, design systems, page templates, which are pre-designed and pre-built, and we're driving that adoption. So it's again very exciting. I'm also part of the team who raises the awareness of the whole design thinking, user experience design and development. And it has been a fantastic journey for me here in DTCC for last 8 years. So over to you, Anand.
Thanks, Shweta. Hello, everyone. This is Anand Churi. I'm the product owner for UX COE. I've been with DTCC for more than 10 years now, in different roles, multiple teams. UX COE being the latest one, and being in the UX COE kind of has changed my perspective of how I look at the world as well, because there's a lot of visual stuff, right? And from a visibility perspective, even in DTCC, imagine any UI that gets built out, it kind of goes through the COE, being the Charter of Excellence, and that gives us a lot of ideas to interact as well as express the various design and development principles that we come across. So yeah, it's been a great experience.
Yeah. So if we go to the next slide,
Yeah.
Anand. So we'll just quickly go over that. How do we see the world around us? User experience UI design doesn't have to be in the computer or internet space, information technology space. It is really anywhere we go around. Like it could be in our house. You probably are walking on the street. You are in your colleges or any other activities. So this whole user experience is around all of us. So we'll just go over a few quick slides and then try to relate that to some of the key principles of user experience.
Okay.
So on the left, what you guys see is something called user experience honeycomb, which basically what it defines is a good user experience should be useful, should be desirable, should be accessible, should be credible, findable, usable, and valuable, right? So we'll quickly go over some of the bad UX examples to help you understand that why these things are important and why someone needs to think through before designing or developing something. So as you can see here, the intentions are good, that you have, like, it looks probably interesting, but is it useful? So the user experience is completely purpose driven, right? So how are you going to get to, like, two people are going to get, if you want to get some furniture, how are you going to get from these stairs, right? On the top right corner, there are so many boards there. From a intuitiveness perspective, is this really serving the purpose of those parking signs? The photo on the bottom right corner, I mean, obviously you will get confused when you look at it. Yeah, is it like a really texture? Is it really steps? So you get confused, right? So anything and everything you do in user experience has to have a purpose behind it. That's what basically this is, and we have to make sure it is useful. We can go to the next slide.
Yep.
Again, some of the funny slides that
We don't
just
even need to-
imagine, just imagine that if you had something like this and you are doing your job, would it be really desirable, right? That's why what you do doesn't have to really look fancy or nice. It has to be really useful and desirable. That's what it is saying. Good. Yeah, accessibility. I mean, again, on the both the sides, that it has to be accessible. It doesn't have to be like, something like this, that you are utilizing the space, or on the right side, it's like the whole idea here is a wheelchair accessible, but what do you do with these two steps? How is the person on the wheelchair going to get on it, right? So little things do matter, and that's where accessibility plays a very big role in the whole user experience design overall, and it is one of the legal requirements as well. Credible, a lot of things, like what you're showing, how does it look, what does it convey, is it readable, is it legible, the message what we are giving, is that credible? So a lot of factors to be considered while when we are designing something. That's why some examples like these do not work, right? Like on the top you are like, accept Jesus something something, I can't even read it. It probably looks fine, it has some shadow effect, this and that, but I can't even read it. So what's the use of this? I'm pretty sure, I don't know if how many of you have been to New York, but if you have, there are so many buildings in New York which are high-rise buildings, and then the really the elevators looks like these. That there are so many kind of floors there. You have no clue what you need to click on, what to press, what to where you want to go. Right? So you are totally confused, and especially when you are in rush, you can't find it. So findability is a very basic and key principle of user experience overall.
Similar to the Microsoft Word, I mean, this is an older version, but still in today's tools, right? There's so many offerings. It's kind of like a information overload for anyone looking at it. And unless you are like really, really into that tool, you won't be able to find easily what you're trying to look for. Yeah, pretty
Again,
self-explanatory.
self-explanatory. We don't need to really explain these slides, right? But yeah, again, things are important. How you design end-to-end thinking based on the purpose is extremely important. And again, the valuable, right? That you are doing something, you are putting in efforts, time, money into it. What are you doing? How is it that going to help? Is it adding any value to it, right? So very important. I mean, these days, anyone who is using WhatsApp, I'm pretty sure you guys would have got frustrated that if you delete something, why do I need to see these messages so many times, right? And now it these days it just goes off. But again, if it's not adding a value, then don't have it. It's as simple as that.
It probably the thought process, right, before building something
Yeah.
that you need to put in.
So again, just before we go into other slides, anyone just wanted very curious to know that were any of these slides relatable for you guys, or do you guys have some experiences which you want to share with us that yeah, you have seen that and you are wondering why is that way? Any thoughts are out there? Max, Colleen?
Yeah, anyone want to share something? I don't know. Me personally, like a lot of times when I'm, working on projects or whatnot, UI is something I kind of like kick to the curb, right? It's like, all right, I want the functionality done. But honestly, like I've been told by some people, like, UI is what wins hackathons, right? At the end of the day, like if you want your products to come out looking like something impressive and something completed, like it's definitely something that you need to keep in mind. Like this UI has to be something that people would actually enjoy using. And I even had a interviewer once ask me in an interview, like, how have you promoted like accessibility in your projects? And that was something that kind of caught me off guard because a lot of times when I'm making projects, I'm like, okay, I want this to be functional and I want to get it out of the door, right? And that isn't something that I put a lot of mind to, even though it is something that like it's super important and it's also really easy to fix. So,
Correct.
I think UI, a lot of times, like when you're not, looking to focus on it, it can often kind of be messy and overlooked. But when you're focusing on it, it's definitely something that can drastically improve the outcome of your
Yeah,
product.
totally agreed. Yeah, totally agreed.
Yep.
Any other thoughts? All right, go ahead, Anand. Take over.
Okay. So from a process perspective, right? I mean, in IT, you might have be familiar with like SDLC process, software development lifecycle. Similarly, from a design perspective, like there is a UCD where you are trying to put in or categorize certain activities into these buckets, right? And this process is, iterative based as well at the same time, something that takes from inception of an idea to the actual completion of the web page. So starting off with empathize, right? This is something you don't normally see this word in real world, right? I'm saying in the job market, but this is something where you actually interact with the users, try to understand what they are going through, what are their pain points, what is something that their suggestions that are being overlooked, because those suggestions, if not taken into consideration, can affect the end result, which is the UI, right? So that's empathize. Define, this is where you actually sit down with them after taking in all the pain points and considerations, kind of laying it all out. You can also say it's a requirements kind of gathering phase where you are defining the requirements, understanding them. Then comes the ideate phase. This is where your UX design team, your designers, the BAs, the Scrum Masters, they actually sit together and see like what can be done out of this. What is the way to go forward, right? Are we capturing the vision they want onto the paper correctly, right? Once they have a good eye handle on that, then they kind of create a prototype. Now the prototype can be in a design world, it can be an artifact like an Adobe XD artifact, an actual. There are various tools out there, but it can be as simple as a concept sketch, right? That concept sketch can be later in today's world. The tools are pretty hi-fi, and you can actually create clickable prototypes. So it gives you a feel of actually clicking onto a website, but it is just basically a landscape in the tool, right? Then when that prototype is kind of signed off, people get confirmations that yes, this is good to go. Then they build it. When I say build, this is where the discussions with the development team happen. The development team comes in, kind of gets the idea of like, okay, you have built a page for me from a design perspective. Now give me the details, the specifications for it. How does each component work? Like, what are the padding, the spacing, the height, what does the component do, whether it's feasible or not. All those discussions go through the developer and they actually develop something in different frameworks, primarily Angular, React. There's a lot of tools out there. Once that is done, obviously you need to test it, right? So this is where, again, like I said, it's iterative process. You meet with the product folks, you meet with the application teams to make sure that it is behaving correctly or the way you want it to be. So that's the testing phase, and then finally you release it, which is the implement phase. This is where you can say it's a product PSC or production release, and again that based on the first release, it can be broken down into MVPs. Whatever feedback you get out of that, you again go back to the drawing board or any of the processes and then start from there. If there is a feedback about a component not working correctly or behaving in a different way than expected, or changes of colors, it can be anything. All those can be again gone back to the let's say the business analyst and can be taken back into the process. Anything from you?
Yeah, I mean, this is extremely iterative process. People definitely at times do underestimate this process because it takes time. But then again, this because this is purpose driven, this process really works. So it's like kind of goes in a machine. Once you get started and you kind of put the user in the center of this, it just revolves around everything, right? So the key thing here is to make sure that you understand the user and user requirements, then plan everything ahead according to that. However, go back to the user time and again to make sure that you are catering to their needs and you are not doing something in silo, right? That's why you will see so many back arrows going while you keep on moving forward, right? That's the beauty of this process. I like to think sometimes that this whole design thinking or a user-centered design process in itself, it's a messy process, but for a purpose to simplify life for the user, right? So simplifying an user interface or a product design is extremely complicated and extremely difficult. And this process helps us to kind of go towards the desired outcome for the user.
Yeah.
That's why this process, when done right, when done by right skill sets and right expertise level, is absolutely works wonders. And it becomes an eye opener for many teams, even though people have been doing something in a similar fashion for ages. With this, the outcome can be completely different and very valuable.
I would like to build upon the point raised by Max actually, that UI often is kind of put at the end, and we have seen those examples, at work as well, where the prioritization of a UI is kind of kept for later stages. But ideally, being the COE, we try to put it much earlier so that they understand that yes, you are being data heavy, you are trying to get all the connections right, but if that data is not portrayed correctly or if it's not providing any kind of value, then there's no point in creating that UI. So that's the point we want to put
Yeah.
across.
And finally, so how does, I mean, this is a design thinking process out there. Industry follows that. What you saw on prior slide is basically from the Nielsen Norman group, who are kind of the primary drivers of user experience, right? So, but how do we take that into design, design thinking process here at DTCC to solve the real world problems for our users, right? So basically, we try to focus on problem, and we try to focus on understanding and defining a right problem, right? Where why are our users complaining? What is bothering them? What exactly they want us to change? Because one thing we don't want to do is something which is working for them. Just because we think that is right, we shouldn't be changing it. Or just because industry doing or Apple is doing or someone else is doing, we shouldn't be changing, right? The core of user experience is what works for your users who is using that application or that website or that product, right? So understanding that persona and then defining problems for them and then trying to solve them is important. So defining a right problem is very important, which we definitely focus on. And then we try to, at least at DTCC, as I mentioned, we have embarked on 8 to 10 years of modernization journey, where we are trying to modernize almost more than 200 applications, which are legacy applications, which are in different tech stack. They completely look from a different planets, and they have a different look and feel, and all of them we want to be able to modernize them, get them consistent, intuitive, whatever you want to call it, modern, etc., in the next few years, right? So that's why our vision is to provide unified, consistent user experience across business line. And then how do we do that? Because it's impossible. We have limited budget, we have limited timelines, we have limited scope. So how do we really realize that vision? So that's where the whole concept of design system, I'm pretty sure you guys are aware of that. Design system and components and page templates and micro frontends come into picture. So we are actually, we have a pretty stable and mature design system here at DTCC. We have designed and developed a set of 10 to 15 different page templates, and we are now in a process of making people adopt those in the two tech stacks primarily. One is the latest tech stack, which is Angular and React. So yeah, that's pretty much kind of, an overview about the whole user experience, why user experience is important, and then how do we really leverage that in a day-to-day life here at DTCC for all of the work what we do for across enterprise. And because this is a centralized team, we actually cater to the entire DTCC horizontally in all the DTCC's product lines and verticals.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that's
So,
pretty much it from us as a kind of overview, and we would like to open it fully for your questions, guys. Max and Pauline, over to you.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much. I did enjoy seeing what you said about, the consistency and really just how you turn everything into like templates and whatnot, because I think, again, like I said, small projects, it's totally different than working on like a entire, and for an entire company where everything has to be standardized and everything has to be consistent. So it's really good to have that insight there. If you guys don't mind, I have a few questions. I had some UI questions, but you guys did cover a lot of that. So I wanted to just kind of ask about the industry in general and things that might be more specific to, the students here. So if you don't mind, we could start with those questions. And if anyone
Absolutely.
has a question, just like raise your hand. I'll open up the floor to like just audience questions later, but feel free to butt in. Okay. So I guess I'll start. Is there any mistakes or lessons you learned from your early career that you think the audience could benefit from hearing and learning from?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them, I'll get started and Anand can add to it. A lot of them, right? First and foremost, I said, like, when we are early in our career, I mean, I have done that mistake definitely, that I want to be able to prove myself, right? So I want to get the best user experience out there. I want to design the most fanciest UI designs and use the brightest colors and whatnot, right? So for me, that has been amazing, right? I was very satisfied and I was very excited about it. That does not mean that that is what your users want, right? So that's exactly where this whole process of empathize, define comes into picture, and tying it back to user needs comes into picture. That yes, what you are doing is aligned with industry or with your vision, but that needs to be aligned with the user expectations. And that's the key thing that my suggestion would be, don't do something because someone else is doing or because industry is doing or because you want it, but try to see what your user want, what the problem you are trying to solve, and then try to solve it. Because I have had experiences where I designed beautiful UIs and that was not even well received because of valid reasons. Or sometimes you design something with your excitement, but if you do not perform the technical feasibility, then your designs are kind of completely gone waste because no one can implement it, right? So there are a lot of factors which are very, very important, which is like matching user expectations, error handling, performance from application design perspective, the technical feasibility aspects, the scalability aspects, lot of things like alignment with standards if at all any company has it. So again, make sure that you are encompassing all of them and not going on just one track while you are designing something. Maybe Anand, you can add something to it if you want.
Yeah, I mean, see, I joined pretty much UI UX about 3 years ago, so Shweta has a lot more experience than me. But for me, like I have held like a business analyst role, Scrum Master, Product Owner, Product Manager. So for me, just never stop asking the question why, right?
Yeah.
That solves a lot of issues for you, because if the other party is able to answer that question for you, that makes your requirements easier, that makes the whole vision easier, and then in the end the project easier. So don't stop asking that question.
Yeah, and one more thing I want to add is in UI UX there is nothing right or wrong.
Correct.
Absolutely nothing, right? What I like, what you Max you like, what Anand like might be totally different and all might be right. But how you make those decisions, how you make those design trade-off discussions and kind of come to conclusion is more important than any personal choices. So I may come up with a design which looks fancy, but at the end what we implement is totally different than what I come up with, right? And having that openness, especially in the earlier career, and open to feedback, both negative and positive, is very, very crucial for this, especially for this field in UI UX. Does that answer your question, Max?
Yeah, thanks. I guess at the end of the day, what I got from that is like when you're building something, it's easy to fall into the trap of making it flashy, but simple and effective, right? What your users want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, speaking of or just going over your general time in the industry, this doesn't have to be about your time at DTCC or really even as your role with UX. But is there any, or what are like some of the most memorable projects or even challenging projects that you've encountered during your work and how you, I guess if they're challenges, how you overcame them?
For me, I would say the work which I am doing right now at DTCC is definitely going to be the most challenging and most memorable because we are attacking a landscape of 200 plus applications and modernizing them, which is a huge undertaking compared to the timelines, compared to the some of the red tapes and the processes and some of the limitations we have in-house and with our clients. So that's going to be definitely one of my memorable experiences.
I completely agree. I mean, imagine the command prompt or like a mainframe application, right? A complete black screen where you have limited set of commands, and then you are tasked with modernizing it by creating a UI for it, right? So here we have like concept sketches for an existing UI that can be revamped, but over in a mainframe application, it's like complete black box, but now you have to somehow translate it into a UI with all the functionality that it currently provides. So that has been my learning experience, and it has been great. Yeah.
Challenging in terms of volume and scalability aspects of it, and interesting as in we have every day new challenges.
New
So
challenges.
every day we are literally solving some different problem and providing some different solution. And we work with probably 50 to 55 project teams at any given point in time.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
We talked a lot. I guess this question is more so directed towards Anand. So we talked about kind of designing good UI and how to approach those sorts of problems. But you as a project owner, I wanted to kind of dig deeper into like how that field looks like and what students you would kind of recommend that for. So there's my first question there. What kind of students would you recommend the product management field for, and what kind of like skills do those students generally have?
Sure. I mean, anyone who is pursuing kind of a business analyst or a scrum master kind of position, right? They can definitely transition into the PO position or a PM. I mean, you can be a little technical at the start, but then these positions involve a lot more of strategic thinking, high level, like 50,000 view of like, where do you want the project to lead? And then domain knowledge, right? So it includes a lot of like even people interactions that you will need, communication skills. So if you're into that field, this should be a good transition for you.
Yeah, and I would like to add to that is I see a good synergies between a product owner, product manager, and a user researcher role, which is a core. So the analytical thinking, synthesizing the data, just reading human beings, understanding their emotions, and being able to empathize with them, also play a very good, like important role in the whole product manager and product owner's role.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's a change of mindset. Like when we were also told with the whole agile methodology coming into place and having to look at everything as a product, right? When you look at that, you have to kind of look at the whole 360 degree. Like, okay, if these things are not done, so like a dependencies, that will affect my project. Or if so, my product. If my product is not able to deliver this, how will it affect the other business lines? So based on that, you kind of grow into the role.
Cool. Yeah, I think a lot of times with like computer science majors, one of the like it's really pushed on like, oh, software engineering, software engineering as kind of like a future career is really predominant. But there's really a lot of other roles that I think kind of overlooked, and that's why I think it's
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
to here.
Absolutely. I mean, even if we want to take a range of roles, right, in the user experience design or this product design area, it could be product owner, product manager, product designer is a upcoming role, which is a combination of a business plus design role, user experience lead or designer, UI designer, information architect, visual designer, UI designer, user researcher, usability analyst. There is a wide range of roles, and again, you don't have to have one only. You actually can wear multiple hats and really perform different tasks in different phases and steps, and be a UX unicorn. So again, upcoming trend appears to be UX unicorn, which means that you are really able to do everything from user research up until UI development also. So you get a wide range of variety depending on your interest and depending on your skill sets, etc.
Yeah, that's good to hear. I think a lot of people like looking for jobs. You don't just want to be like shut in to one role or anything like that. I think having the flexibility to
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah, and flexibility is good because a lot of companies like DTCC do encourage mobility as option, right? That you could start within one role. You might explore that this is not right for you, and then you want to transition into other role and you want to come back. So a lot of companies do encourage these mobility opportunities also. So you something for you guys to kind of think about that. Though you are starting in one position, it's not the end of world, right?
Yeah.
You could explore, and there are always opportunities. You need to be able to reach out to right folks in wherever you go, and make sure that you are aware of those opportunities and different roles, so that can instill your interest.
I'll cite my own example. I started as a BA in one of our IT cost transparency initiative, which was kind of a reporting, IT reporting project. Then I moved into the IT infrastructure, kind of dealt with servers, the pipelines, kind of a little more technical, and then moved into
Yeah.
the UX COE. So yeah, I mean, sky's the limit.
So yeah, I know a lot of there might be a lot of mobility once you get your first job, and I know a lot of the people in the audience here are looking, to break into the industry, right? Get their first job, first internship. What kind of skills or traits do you think are the most like impactful for new job seekers to have? Like, if you were to hire someone to like join your team, what kind of skills would you be looking for?
Go first, and I'll add.
I mean, if you're getting into IT, let's say, have the fundamentals clear, SDLC process. Obviously, if you get into UI, UX space, the UCD process. But again, these are processes. At the same time, you have to have that can-do attitude to that. You can learn on the go. Be curious. Um, but yeah, I don't want to focus more on the tools, because tools become obsolete like every other day, right? But the fundamentals remain with you all the time. You acquire the domain knowledge wherever you are. If you're attached to a project, rather than just saying like, okay, how can I just give this data from point A to point B, I would rather see like where the data is actually coming from, where the data is being shown, who is the audience, and kind of understand the whole flow. So if you get these basic principles right, I think you're good to go.
Yeah. To add to that, I kind of have like a 4 or 5 A framework for this, which is attitude, aptitude, alignment, adaptability, and adjustment, right? So you need to be, I mean, someone will hire you because you are going to solve some problem for them, right? It's not because they like you or they don't like you, right? So it's very, very important for you to be aligned with what they are trying to do, why they are trying to do, and how they're trying to do, and then slowly introduce new ways to do that, rather than getting on a job and say, no, this is how I want to do it, and this is so that attitude is very, very important. Aptitude to learn new things, as Anand said, because you really need to learn new things and be curious. Alignment, especially with your peers, with your managers, with your area, with your company vision, extremely important, and that keeps evolving. So you have to evolve around that also, right? Adjustment, it's no work is small work or big work. So it's not that, what, I will only do this. A lot of times we both do, like, our day-to-day life looks very different. Sometimes we are creating some presentations, sometimes we are folding our sleeves and doing some design work or coding work, or we are just following up. So any work is something you should be able to do. So again, don't think that I want to fit into this role only. So these are some of the very important things. And apart from this, communication and negotiation, right? Very, very, very important, especially in UI UX. I really feel that it is more of your job is to more of communicate effectively and negotiate for the solution you want to propose, and then only remaining 30-40% is your actual work which you're really doing heads down, creating wireframes or developing code or whatever. So these are soft skills are very, very important.
Yeah, I think it is interesting, right? A lot of the skills that we kind of like present today, like, oh, I'm skilled with, it's a certain front end framework or whatever. In 10 years, right? There's a chance, you might not be using that at all, right? Think about it
Exactly.
Yeah.
today, right? How many of those were commonly used 10 years ago? Did they even look remotely anything like they did today? So I think the skills you mentioned, like adaptability, right? Being willing to learn new things and accept them, is very important. Okay, awesome. Okay, I'll move on to the next question. So this one's a little different. Is there anything that you would advise college students to do now, which they might not have the option to do later?
That's an interesting question.
Follow industry trends, I would say. You're bit, right?
Yeah, and have fun. Because
fun,
have fun. Because later on everything is driven by timelines, and you get into family responsibilities, and then you can't enjoy the life as much as you could now. So my definitely suggestion would be enjoy as much as you can, but keep learning and keep eye on those things also.
Absolutely.
It's all downhill from here. Oh, yeah, that's good. I know a lot of people do mention like, okay, studying abroad was something they really like wished they did like later, because when you have all those deadlines and timelines, it's difficult to kind of fit something like that in.
Yeah, travel if you can, because then later on you get limitations and you can't do a lot of things what you wish to do.
Yeah, yeah. I think sometimes you look into your future and you'll be like, oh, I'll have so much more like time or whatever, but I think a lot of things crop up that you don't expect as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So we'll pivot to, once again, a slightly different question. So what do you consider the largest changes in tech over the last, let's say, 10 years, and how do they impact your work specifically?
Oh, everything is changing. I mean, I always feel that you blink your eyes, and especially the UI UX landscape completely change. I mean, I'll give you example. When I joined ETCC, there was a design tool called Axure RP, which was very new in the industry, very fancy tool. So I got that in house, and we created a design system in that. Now that is completely absolute. After a few years, we introduced XD was in the market. We created something with XD. Now that's probably kind of on the downhill, maybe not downhill, but not the top rated one. Now it's Figma right now, right? So literally you have to keep up. And again, these tools have so much value to add, so you have to keep up to date with it, right? So everything changes. Nothing, I mean, only change is constant, right? So that phrase is really true, and especially in UI UX landscape. Like Angular, we 4 years back our tech stack was Angular. Last year we had to introduce React because now React is picking up. Now after React we have to now think about consolidation of these and making things tech agnostic, and so we are thinking about the micro front ends. There are a lot of other things like progressive apps, web 3.0, AI. AI is going to change the whole landscape. So is everything is changed. Like iPhones, 2007 iPhone was such a new thing, and now like even a small kid has iPhone and a smartphone, right? So it's literally every day things are changing.
At this point, I'll ask, does anyone in the audience have a question? Want to ask anything in particular? Yes, Colin. I'll for the webcam over here to you.
Hello, Shweta and Anand. This is Colin.
Hey, Colin.
Hey Colin, how are you?
I would just like to say I'm good. I'm good. I would like to say thank you for taking the time to present for us. I feel like your insight and information is very valuable, especially to us as college students. The question I wanted to ask is, I know you guys mentioned that technologies change like year to year, and the tools that we know now may be obsolete in the next few or 10 years. I wanted to know what exactly what tools you guys are using now in DTCC, because I know as a UX designer myself, I'm using software tools like Figma to go about designing. So I just wanted to know what you guys are using now.
Yeah. So as I said that we started with Axure, but now we are planning to retire that by end of this year. Then the second tool is XD. We are still using it, but we all of course plan to start migrating towards Figma. We now got Figma and we have our design system ready in Figma. So we'll be using Figma and FigJam from a core user research design defined perspective. And from a technology stack perspective, primarily we are on Angular and React. So all the prior tech stacks, whatever we have, right, we're trying to migrate towards Angular and React. Of course, web components also, because that is another one where eventually we will be even getting rid of Angular and React if possible, right? So from a technology stacks perspective, those are the things what we are using. And we do have some third party tools, which is like for data grids, etc. is AG Grid. For data visualizations, it's a high charts. For fonts, we try to go imageless, so we have font awesome icons. So we have like a multiple set of preferred and recommended tools, which we are absolutely encouraging all the project teams to leverage those through our foundational capabilities. So all the work what we do is called as foundational capabilities, which includes the design system, the page designs, the components in Angular, React, web components, and the page templates, and then the micro UI framework.
Thank you. We got another question from the audience here.
Hi, thank you guys for sharing as well today. I just have a question about how you guys, like, how exactly do you migrate the team as a whole to a new framework or to a new tool? Do you like usually leave it to the employees themselves to like self-teach, or do you guys provide um the guidance yourself to them?
Excellent question.
Yeah.
All of it, I would say.
Yeah.
So we definitely encourage people to learn by themselves, because that's one thing to keep you upskilling. When we hire, we try to focus on particular skills, or we try to get a combination of skills when possible. Like in for a designer, it is easy to get designer who are good, has mastery in Figma and XD and Axure. However, from a UI development perspective, it is very uncommon to have a one single person working on both Angular and React, right? So if you actually try to get those skills, it is going to be good for you, because those skills are in demand. And then from a training perspective, yes, we do provide in-house trainings also. Like our own senior developers, our own senior folks do conduct training on an ongoing basis. Like we have designed a full-fledged user-centered design program, and we conducted that for all the BA community across enterprise for 50-55 people. Then when we have interns, they go through the whole process of trainings, and UI UX is considered there also. So we do train them that also. And then we have some other Coursera kind of courses that we encourage. Beyond that, if someone is interested to go and take up some courses outside DTCC, we also provide those benefits.
There's a lot of forums within the company as well, DevX, pair programming. This is where you kind of share ideas, look at resources available to you, and kind of upskill yourself. From a tech stack perspective, sometimes the decision can come from higher up, right? Because they're looking at industry trends. So that time, it actually becomes an opportunity for the developer to learn something new, and enough time is provided for them to take it and then work on the project. So there's always like a shadow, we call it, I believe, right? Someone can work with a senior developer and work under him or her, and then get onto the project.
Yeah.
Anyone else in the audience has a question? I think we have time for one more. Okay, maybe two.
This is good.
Hi, my question is, what advice would you give to someone starting out, trying to get into the UI design industry to build their portfolio and practice their skills if they don't have a job right now, or if they don't have the ability or resources to build like a larger, more complicated project on their own? Thank you.
Yeah, so if you don't have ability to build a portfolio, a simplistic thing what you can do is create some PPTs or PDFs, and you can easily create your portfolio on that. What is important, like what hiring managers, because we are on the other side of the wall where we are hiring folks and we are interviewing folks, so we know what priorities we have. So what is important is, do you know the end-to-end process, right? How much do you know where you fit into that whole process? Whether, let's say, you are a UI developer or you're a user researcher or UI UX designer. So do you know what happens before you start your job, and do you know what happens after you, what when you hand it over, right? So do you know that? And then within your role, what all can you do? Can you do create wireframes? If you're a UX designer, can you create wireframes? Can you create task flows? Can you define personas? Can you create design specifications? We are looking for those things, right? So when you create a portfolio, if you take one project, you probably should be creating a case study, which is like, what is the problem you are trying to solve? What is the proposed solution, what you are providing? What is the process you followed to provide the solution? What artifacts did you create? So it could be concept sketches, paper sketches, wireframes, clickable prototypes, it could be code, whatever you are doing, right? So examples of that in that, and then clearly articulating that, if what was your role, what were your contributions in that, and what are some of your limitations or challenges. So kind of capturing this in that case study is very, very important to see, show the end-to-end process and show the deliverable and the actual outcome what you produced through that.
Yeah.
So you don't have to go with fancy portfolios or anything. Simply start, if you have access to PowerPoint, start a slide deck, and that should be good enough as well. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks so much for taking time to speak to us tonight. You guys said that understanding user needs is like super important for UX. Do you guys spend a lot of time like actually talking to users one-on-one, and where do you like find the users from?
Good question. Yeah. So the users, I mean, we also bucket them into personas, right? They can be internal users of the application. They can be external users that are logging into the application. So we, as much as possible, we do try to meet up with the with both the users to get their feedback. Sometimes it might not be available to us because we are in IT and product has access to those. But at least we try to tell product to conduct those sessions and get the feedback at least written on paper, so that we can check that feedback with the internal users, kind of verify, validate, and then put in the design solution in front of them.
Yeah, and basically, I mean, when possible, you should insist on getting to the end users, which is a real challenge in the industry, not just DTCC.
Yeah.
But nothing can beat the actual getting that feedback and those requirements from users, observing the user. So there's something called observing, like a day in a life of a user, right?
Correct.
So you don't even ask or say anything. You just sit there and observe to see what do they do. Do they use one monitor or two monitor? Are they using tablets or mobiles? How do they sit? Do they stand? Are they mouse users? Are they keyboard users? Right? How much time do they really take for to complete one task? Where exactly they are getting frustrated? Where is that exactly they are getting excited? All of these actual observations go into your definition of your solution, right? So these are very, very important. But again, it's a real challenge to get access to real users. When that happens, you need to be preparing some questions and try to seek information in a format which will help you continue, because you can't get stuck because you don't have access to users, right? You still need to deliver something with the hope and assumptions that it will work for them, but again, then go back and validate what you have done, right? That's why that helps. And from a sample size perspective, I would say anywhere between like 6 to 8 sample size or 6 to 8 number of users for a particular persona is good enough to seek some details and designs and develop something for them, and then again get the feedback and iterate it.
That's about all we have time for in terms of questions. I want to say thank you so much for being able to present this kind of like industry viewpoint to us. We went over a lot of like what I think people don't initially see when talking about like software engineering jobs. So it was definitely insightful. Can we get a round of applause for Shweta and Anand?
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All
Do
right,
we send it or we should?
pick that up, but rest assured, everyone was clapping for you.
Thank you so much. I think there was one thing when me and Colleen was interacting, that if people are interested in internships or what DTCC can offer, we can share some PDFs for you with you, and there will be some outreach happening from DTCC in University of Florida in your campus as well. So definitely look for that. But we do run programs like Rising Stars. We do have internships. We have a lot of other kind of edge programs, etc., which will be important for you guys to know. So yeah, again, feel free to reach out to us anytime. We can actually share the deck and or find us on LinkedIn. And feel free to reach out. We'll be more than happy to connect you with right folks if at all you guys are interested in seeing what DTCC does and any openings in DTCC. So just sharing some of the flyers which we have. If we were there in person, we would have handed out some of these flyers. But Max, we can certainly email these to you, and you guys can circulate in your teams if that's there is some interest in these.
Yeah, just reach out to me if you want to send anything, and I'll alert the audience to it. So
Yeah.
yeah, look for anything on Discord. So make sure you join it, ufscc.org. And I guess that's about it. Again, thank you guys so much.
No, thank you,
Thank you.
and Colin especially. This has been fantastic. We are glad that we were you guys invited, and we were able to kind of help you with answering some of your questions. Good luck to all of you guys, and do well.
All right. Have a good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. And if you guys it's the sign in form at the start, I'd appreciate it. If you guys took the time to sign in now. Additionally, I'll be in contact, and the shirts, yeah.
Raise your hand if you wanted a shirt, but you didn't get a shirt today. All right, so we have around like 30 people that signed up for a shirt but didn't get it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna have them DM us before like next Tuesday. You guys should just like hope that they don't DM us. Come to our next meetings, and the amount that we have left, the amount that we have extra, we're gonna hand out.
Yeah.
So for now, you guys can't get a shirt because like we have people that signed up, but show up next time.
Next two meetings, unreserved shirts are being given away. So if you want one, come out then. Yeah, it's a workshop next week and then a social the week after. Stickers on the way out. They're here. This is devious. I like this. To get around not having the SEC logo on the stickers.